Hello, I am Jeremy Fornkamp from Toro's Commercial Engineering Department, and today we are going to adjust the heavy-duty automatic throttle linkage. The throttle linkage does have a cam in it, and it is very important to follow the steps in order. That will help to improve throttle response, tire spinning, and just a general feel of the machine. And you will need a few simple tools. You will need 2 1/2-inch wrenches, a 7/16 wrench, a 7/16 socket, a 1/2-inch socket, and a tachometer. So to get started, we are going to move the intake hose so we can see what we're doing. It's not necessary in the field. So the first thing we're going to want to adjust is this throttle cam system. But we want to take the throttle cable out of play such that it's not influencing this adjustment. So we're simply going to disconnect here, let that thing go where it's going to be. And then we want to adjust the follower by loosening this nut and moving it in a slot such that this spring, as you can see is a little loose right now, is tight so that there's not a lot of free play there. So we'll simply loosen this. You see it's under a spring load, so as you move it back and forth you can tighten and loosen it. So I put the socket back on it and move it into place and tighten it in place. So this should be, that's maybe a little too tight. And that feels nice. It's just touching off there. The next thing we're going to want to do, now that the cam is set, is we want to check high idle, which is this screw right here, and essentially when this cam bottoms against it, it'll be at high idle. So I'm going to connect the tachometer, start the engine, and we'll see where it's set and adjust as necessary. Put that there so you can see it. We're going to adjust the 3600 RPM by just moving this to the stop. We need to go up in RPM, so you go in on this screw a little bit. You want to get within 50 RPM. And we can kill the engine. And then the next thing we're going to do is reconnect that throttle cable and adjust it properly. And so what we want to do, put this back on here. What we're looking for is that when the throttle pedal at the front of the machine strokes down to the bottom, we want it to hit this screw at high idle with about an 1/8 inch gap underneath the pedal. So we just snug this up right now and check it where it's at. So we'll just check here, and we're sitting a little high off the floorboard, so we want to move the cable this way. So I'll back up on this nut a little bit here and tighten on this one. I'll recheck it, and that looks pretty good. So we will snug up this portion of it. And then the last thing we want to do is make sure there's no slop in the cable as the pedal comes all the way to the top. So we're going to adjust the up stop of the pedal at the front of the machine, in which you simply will loosen this jam nut on that. Then I like to start the engine so I can hear what's going on. So this one, you see we have a lot of movement before the engine comes up. So I want to adjust that screw inward to push the pedal down. So you loosen up this jam nut and then turn that screw in. Again, you want this pedal to move just a little bit before the engine RPM comes up. It's still moving maybe a little too much. We'll check our adjustment. And that feels nice. So then we just have to lock this nut down. And that is it. That is the final adjustment. And that is how you adjust the throttle linkage for the heavy-duty automatic.